All right, folks, we have a ton of news to bring to you today because, look, I don't know what the hell happened between yesterday and today, but the news is flowing like wine right now. The longer I wait, the bigger and bigger the news gets. So get ready for a long episode here because there's so much to go over. We have news on Metroid Prime 4, Luigi's Mansion. Oh my gosh, we got news on Kirby Air Riders. That's right, even though there's a direct tomorrow, we still have news about it today and so much more. This is a really exciting episode here for you guys. Tons of news to bring to you. Before we dive in, I'm just going to remind you, we do have 3 copies. That's right, 3 copies of Age of Imprisonment we're giving away. Also 5 copies of Kirby Air Riders. You can check it out down through the link in the pinned comment or the description. But before we dive in on the opening day of the Milwaukee Bucks season, I know it has nothing to do with this video, we have to get to today's sponsor. Well, folks, this video is sponsored by the Lexar Play Pro Micro SD Express card. Oh my gosh, they have a whole bunch of different sizes for you, but really the size we like to talk about when it comes to Switch 2, because look, games are getting bigger than ever, and this thing only takes Micro SD Express, is the 1 terabyte Lexar Play Pro card. This bad boy right here. And I'm actually happy to talk about today that you don't just have to go to Amazon anymore to buy this card. It is now available online on Costco. Yes, you do need to be a member, but it's just another way to get your hands on the world's first 1 terabyte micro SD Express card. Perfect for your Nintendo Switch 2. Look, I have one of them actually already in here, and another staff member of mine also has one because, look, Lexar creates quality products, and if you want to get your hands on the Lexar Play Pro 1 terabyte card, go ahead and check out through the links down in the description to either Costco or Amazon. I want to thank you guys so much, and let's go ahead and get back to the video. All right, with that out of the way, folks, let's go ahead and get to our first story, and this deals with Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 is getting a new update? What is going on? Well, we're over here on the Nintendo of America stuff, and as you can see here, there's a brand new update for Pikmin 4. So it's a free update. It's kind of crazy we're getting this update at this point, but the big part here is they are adding a photo mode. That's not it, though. There's also a new type of Pikmin being added in and some crossover with Pikmin Bloom. You'll see this as this trailer continues to play. I think this is really interesting that we are getting a Pikmin 4 update so late. It also goes to show that even if a game is a little bit older from Nintendo, they're not afraid to still release updates for it. And the fact the update's free means you pretty much can't complain about this. You can't call it cut content because it's been years. You also can't sit here and act like this is like bad because, hello, it's literally for free. They didn't have to do this, and they did anyways, for what was already an excellent game. Now, here's where you're seeing some new style of Pikmin that seem to be dressed up. These are called decor Pikmin. And yeah, you got to find them obviously all throughout the different levels in Pikmin 4. And the big thing here is obviously that this ends up connecting to Pikmin Bloom. You're going to see this in a moment. Decor Pikmin's been found here. You can see you got the ladybug. It's basically just Pikmin wearing costumes. They don't seem to be anything special beyond that, but it's still cute. And you know what? It gives you a reason to go back and play Pikmin 4, especially if you want to fill out that Decopedia over there. Now you can use this here and send information all the way over from the Decor Pikmin to Pikmin Bloom. So now you can use those Pikmin with those costumes in Pikmin Bloom. Create your activity level. You can see here, you can go from relaxed to normal to fierce. That's really cool as well. So I like to see that added into the game. Would have been neat if we had that option at launch, but it's still nice that we have that option today. And look, you can see the difference here between relaxed and normal mode. Relaxed is obviously easy mode. Normal mode is how the game basically launched as. So take that for what you will. Again, this is a free update, so there's really not a whole lot to complain here. I'm just happy to see Pikmin 4 continue to get support in 2025. So thank you so much, Nintendo, for that free update. I will be downloading it a little bit later. Now we got to get into a really, really exciting update for Metroid Prime 4. Look, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond comes out in December, but until then, how about some brand new information coming from an interview done by Nintendo Dream Magazine in Japan? And of course, this relies on translation, so just keep this in mind. There could be some translation errors, but we're going to go over to Universo Nintendo because Necro Felipe Lima put in all the legwork to gather this information together. So Metroid Prime 4 Beyond gets new details on the Viola motorcycle and more. There's new illustrations as well. So we come down here, it says publisher Nintendo and developer Retro Studios have released a handful of small details for Metroid Prime 4 that were shared. By the way, I don't think any of these details are small. You'll see why in a moment. In the latest issue of Nintendo Dream Magazine. In this issue, the magazine provided an overview of the game, as well as sharing some details about the amiibo functions. The characters, Silex and Lemorne, features of the Viola motorcycle, and more. So, here we go. Ho 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 ho, baby. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Switch 2 edition. The newest chapter in the legendary Metroid Prime series arrives in an exclusive edition for Nintendo Switch 2, taking Hunter Samus Aran to an all-new, visually stunning world. In this new journey, Samus will not only explore caves and alien ruins, but also traverse vast expanses of Vuros, using a powerful motorcycle called the Viola, an innovation that redefines mobility and combat in the franchise. The surface of Vuros is made up of diverse biomes, humid forests, scorching deserts, polar regions, and a mist-shroud ruins. The Viola allows Samus to travel great distances with agility, as well as serving as a powerful weapon on the move. During battle, the bike can be used for both defense and dodging, as well as high-speed attacks. It's not just a means of transportation, it's an extension of Samus' own suit, explains the project's creative director. So you have a spinning energy attack, which combines acceleration and simultaneously shooting, a turbo mode, aka ghost boost, increases speed for a limited time, allowing you to pass through enemies, defensive energy field, which is a barrier shield, protects against attacks while maintaining momentum, and an echo projection, aka a projection trail, leaves a residual image capable of confusing enemy sensors. Then we get to Samus' new psychic ability. While exploring the ancient ruins of Vuros, Samus discovers traces of a lost civilization, receives what is known as psychic power. This mental power allows her to interact with alien structures, control ancient machinery, and even manipulate gravitational fields in combat. It's a power that requires concentration, but it also carries risks, as it affects the heroine's body and mind. Power comes with a price. Even Samus Aran will feel the weight of her own mind. Forest, desert, and the living biosphere of Vuros. Each region of Vuros harbors its own ecosystems, teeming with mysterious creatures. In the tropical forest, bioluminescent fauna and actively camouflaged predators abound in the ivy caves. Crystalline species emit sounds that reverberate like chants in the deserts. Sandstorms conceal subterranean colossuses. Samus will need to adapt her strategies to the environment and use psychic power to decipher animal behavior patterns and activate hidden runes. Now, unexpected enemies and allies. During her mission to Vuros, Samus will encounter both fearsome adversaries and figures who can aid her in her quest. So, Silex, which has already been teased, a mysterious warrior encased in sky blue armor. He appears to share a mental connection with Samus, but his intentions remain unclear. Aes Raxus, a massive creature with an organic body and metallic components. It serves as a guardian of the depths of Vuros and can be either an enemy or an ally depending on the player's actions. That's very interesting. A little RPG element there. Lemorne, her past is shrouded in secrets, and she seems to know details about the origin of Samus' psychic power, but it's not yet known whether or not she's an ally of hers. And I believe this is Lemorne. Could be wrong. Could be Aes Raxus, but I'm not seeing the metallic components. So I think this is Lemorne. Pretty interesting design, of course. Who is Silex really? Well, Silex is presented as Samus's mirror, an entity possessing the same psychic power, but wielding it aggressively. It's said he emerged from the ancient Federation experiments, a failed attempt to replicate the Hunter's abilities. The confrontation between Samus and Silex will be a central plot point for the narrative. A line between ally and enemy will be blurred. After all, what defines a human mind when it exceeds its own limits? So some psychic stuff going on. Amiibo compatibility. 3 new special amiibo were released alongside the game. We already know about this. There was originally a translation in here of what the amiibo do, but it appears it was a mistranslation. Also, guys, you see the actual images just to kind of show that these images do exist in Nintendo Dream Magazine. Here they are. I got a couple of them here for you, just to show, hey, look, this is real. This is legit. Nintendo Dream Magazine did a thing. So I do think that this is pretty awesome. I am really excited. Guys, this just to me shows there's so much we don't know about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. We absolutely must be getting a direct, not in the too distant future. All right, setting Metroid Prime 4 Beyond aside, and I know it's hard because it's exciting, we got to talk a little bit about Final Fantasy VII, the 3rd edition game, how there could be a new game and or DLC. Wait, what? Square Enix is actively considering Final Fantasy VII DLC, or perhaps a 4th game. So, Square Enix has successfully remade Final Fantasy VII, branching out on a source material and generally doing a good job so far. We are still waiting for the 3rd entry, and it seems as though Square Enix still has plenty of ideas regarding Final Fantasy VII and are actively considering downloadable content for the untitled 3rd game. Going further, they have even suggested we could see a 4th entry. So here are the quotes. Once we release the 3rd installment, there is the possibility of having DLC for that game. With the conclusion of Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy, there's probably going to be a much wider audience for the Final Fantasy as a whole. Whether we bring another new DLC or a full title, that's something we are actively considering. That's pretty wild. I gotta say, I actually really enjoy Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to be picking up Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate on Nintendo Switch 2. I'll be getting Rebirth as well when it comes out, and probably the 3rd game. So all of this is really exciting. You know what's also exciting? How about the fact that NSO just got one of the biggest updates it's had this year? Luigi's Mansion is coming to NSO, baby. I am so excited about this. It is, look, in my opinion, Luigi's Mansion 1 is probably the best of the 3 Luigi's Mansions, although Luigi's Mansion 3, shout out to that game. That game is also very good. No offense, Dark Moon. Kind of like the redheaded stepchild. I don't really know what to say. You're just kind of, different than the other 2, in my opinion. But 1, to me, had the most originality to it. It was the de facto launch game for the GameCube back in the day, for those that don't remember. Anyways, really glad to see this get added to NSO. It's a great time for people who've never experienced the game to go ahead and, do it for its first time. It's literally releasing the day before Halloween. So I like that. And we also have to remember that there's a lot of people that haven't played the original Luigi's Mansion, as the series got much more popular with Dark Moon and then Luigi's Mansion 3. So look at that. Being able to play all 3 games on your Switch or Switch 2. Hell yeah. Sign me the hell up. Pretty excited about it. All right. So let's go ahead and now get to our next story. So we know Kirby Air Riders is having a Nintendo Direct, an hour-long Nintendo Direct tomorrow. But you know what? Masahiro Sakurai couldn't wait to give us details. Here we go. Looking at some Kirby Air Riders content while you wait for the second Direct. Well, Sakurai plays through Steam Gust Forge. So look, you guys will see some text on screen. We'll just kind of read it out to you guys. Today, I'll be riding the Steam Gust Forge course with Meta Knight and Shadow Star. I'm going to set the CPUs to random, but have their levels set to 9. We're off. Steam Gust Forge is set to steampunk environment. I think there's a aesthetic detail here that haven't been in previous Kirby games. For example, this is an industrial area. You can speed up by using these gusts of steam. There's a train running alongside us. Honestly, this aesthetic is pretty cool. We made this with a lot of care. We'll be moving through the tunnel separate from the train's entrance that leads to a big factory. The majority of this course takes place here. God, there's the train again. Maybe it's delivering its cargo here. Man, there's some exciting stuff going on. I messed that up. I'm starting to fall behind, so I'll do my best to catch up. This is a conveyor belt area. If you break those boxes, you'll get a little speed boost. Now we'll ride along these pipes, then pass through the back of the factory and enter the blast furnace. There are multiple routes you could take here, but this time I'll be going from the bottom up. Hot, hot, hot. Jump up from here. Now we're in front of the generator, but I'm taking the top route this time. The Shadow Star has a slow cruising speed. It also has a high offense and glide. If I had to choose, I'd say it's better suited for city trial. And now we're going to the top of the generator. And up we go to whoosh. And there's a fleet of aircraft. Ideally, you'll jump from ship to ship here. Even if you fall to the ground, you'll be okay. See, you can ride the air currents. Right around here, we're done with the first lap. Now I'm in front of the finish line. And it's a 2-lap race this time. There's the train there, and if you try hard enough, you can actually get on it. If you manage to do so, the relative speed of the train will make you go a little faster. King DDD is catching up. You can see him on the left side. Ah, he's using his special. This is my point where a lot of specials will be ready to use. Mine is also charged, so I may as well use it, but I'll be going up the top route. By using the air current, I'm moving above the area ceiling, which also has boxes. I also use Meta Knight's Drill Rush. Since I was on the rail, I couldn't use it effectively. This time, I'm taking a different route. I'll just follow along the road. Ouch. Since I took the top route earlier, I'll take the bottom route this time. The ground machines will also go on this route, so it can get pretty competitive here. You'll get a boost by touching these air currents, so you should try to touch as many as you can. Once again, we are flying out from above the generator. All right, I'm going for it this time. I'll use the dash zones here. The yellow one had an arrow on it. You'll go in the direction that it was pointing. And a perfect landing to finish. Yup, that was satisfying. Yeah, guys, Kirby Air Riders looks great. I gotta be honest, I played this at PAX West. But the thing is, we're not done with Kirby Air Riders because he didn't stop there. He released some new screenshots here. So there's fossils that can be found in the cavernous corners in this course. So that's pretty crazy there. I like that. I like those fossils, spotting the details. Spotting the details isn't always easy in a fast racer. More than that, head to the entrance that appears somewhere in Skya to compete with your rivals in Dubstep Derby Field event. Make it all the way to the end, and you'll earn lots of power-ups that will surely serve you well. And look at this. Look, we know this mode from City Trial, but dude, this is a whole new location. That's pretty badass. And hey, here's some stuff going on in the snow. You can even see some patterns from the snow seemingly made by this cart potentially here. I'm liking this. I'm liking the details we're seeing in this game. The game's looking better and better the more we see of it. And guys, we're about to get an hour direct tomorrow, so we're going to leave it at that. Now, we got to shift back to a little bit of video game industry news, in particular, an industry that I'm kind of part of, the journalist one. We have an article over at Video Game Chronicle detailing about how we've basically, over the last 2 years, have lost 25% of the industry of video game journalism. Let's go take a look here. More than 1,200 games journalists have left the media in the last 2 years. All right, let's get down to what it says here. That's according to data supplied to Video Game Chronicle by Press Engine, a popular PR tool used by developers and publishers to distribute codes and press releases to a global database of journalists and content creators. According to Press Engine, more than 600 journalists who regularly cover video games at major outlets around the world have disappeared from their database in the past 12 months. Virtually the same number of them left their positions in the 12 months before that, the firm said, and they haven't taken up roles at other media companies since. According to Press Engine's database of Tier 1 publications that cover games, which is defined as major websites, both specialist and mainstream, with 7-figure plus audiences, the global pool of game journalists has declined by 25% in just 2 years. The vast majority of these departures were from specialist games websites like IGN, Polygon, or GameSpot. If amateur, part-time, or freelance writers are included, the number of departures from the games media swells to more than 4,000 people since October of 2023. The figures highlight a significant drop in the number of people writing about video games, either because they've chosen to change professions or been affected by the wave of redundancies that have hit most major game publications since the pandemic. Like the game industry, publications that cover video games have been rocked by a turbulent market since the highs of the COVID-19 pandemic. Media owners like IGN, Fandom, Gamer Network, and Valent have all cut jobs in the past year. According to Press Engine co-founder Gareth Williams, the most significant contributors to job losses in the games media are an overall shift towards covering the biggest games, resulting in increased competition for those who remain, and harmful changes introduced by the Google search engine. A culmination of a number of factors has cost video game journalism some of its brightest talent, Williams told Video Game Chronicle. The COVID highs, followed by a lack of diversification in content, diversification of advertising spend, Google's helpful content update, summaries, and AI have all contributed to where we are now. Fan-led media might be the simplest route to consolidate revenue for publishers and secure the future for staff, but it's only the start. He added, in a consumer world where ad blocking is standard and games as a service and social media are communication tools where children and adults form their relationships, video game media needs to evolve and innovate. Support your favorite publications before you don't have the choice. Veteran game journalist Alex Donaldson, who owns the publication RPG site and regularly writes for major outlets, agrees that the games media recent troubles are primarily due to Google, but also to changing reader habits. He also argued that layoffs could have been avoided with better management of media businesses. We are now seeing increasing numbers of brands ran off the road entirely through a confluence of factors, but certainly primarily led by search changes, Google's AI summaries, and even user behavior changes as a portion of queries move directly to services like ChatGPT. My expectation is that games media will continue to shrink for at least the next 12 months. Any earthquake has aftershocks, and I'm currently not even convinced we've hit the grip of the main earthquake yet. This might be the foreshocks. For quality games media, I continue to believe that the best form of stability is dedicated reader bases to remove reliance on funds and a hybrid of a direct reader funding and advertisements. If people want to keep reading quality content from full-time professionals, they need to support it or lose it. That's never been more critical than now. Donaldson continued, although to be clear, this isn't all demanding on reader support. Let's see here. The losses in the game media has suffered. I strongly feel it could have been avoided with better management, clarity, and more realistic expectations on the part of proprietors. Even this week, we've seen talented people with a high workload laid off by a larger parent that doesn't seem to have a solid strategy. The best protection against these sorts of losses for the media at large is a healthy slate of truly independent outlets, not beholden to such parents. Supporting those individuals is particularly vital, and this was written up by Andy Robinson. Look, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and we're going to be actually using this as a topic on our podcast tonight, so I don't want to dive too deep here because, again, we're literally going to be doing that tonight. But I just want to note that obviously we know video game journalism has been in decline for a while, and yeah, maybe there was a boom during COVID, but I have been of mind for many, many years because I used to be a traditional journalist at a more traditional website that only covered The Legend of Zelda, also Nintendo Everything and a couple other places, but the bottom line is, I feel that some of these outlets just have not evolved enough with the times. What do I mean? Well, all these major publications do make video content, and they do put that video content on places like YouTube. They still try to tie everything back to the website rather than trying to grow each of these platforms independently. You should have teams dedicated to growing the YouTube platform, growing your Instagram platform. And I don't just mean like a social media manager. I mean making content dedicated directly for the audiences on these social platforms. If you had done that, and you had actually done this years and years ago, you could actually have massive followings independent of your website that can not only help fund your website, but also bring additional funding in general and move people around. And I know not everyone can be on-camera personalities and all that. It's a lot different being an on-camera personality than writing an article. I learned that the hard way in my transition from being a writer to being a on-camera personality. It is a hard transition, and not everyone is built for it. I hope you guys think I'm built for it. But I have to say that I think that this was a mistake made a long time ago. I think it was a mistake, by the way, with some of the major Zelda websites back in the day, too. I talked to some people back then and said, hey, we probably should be focusing more on growing our social following on places like TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, growing up a video following, working on high-quality video content while we still can afford to do that because the website makes enough money, because I can see the forest for the trees. I can see that there's a limit to how far this goes with how much other mediums are growing in popularity. And look, I got fired. And here I am today. I guess fired is maybe the wrong word. Contract not renewed. Laid off, I guess is the way probably should say it. But it felt like a firing at the time, especially how it all went down. That said, here I am on YouTube 8 years after that. Now I do it full time and make way more money than I was making when I used to work full-time at those outlets. So I think that there's a lesson to be learned here. I know 8 years is a pretty big gap to try to make it on here, but I did this on my own. I could, if I had support and a team and we really worked hard at this together, we probably could have found success quicker, but they didn't agree with me. So take that for what you will. We're going to continue this conversation tonight on the Nintendo Byte podcast. We have special guest Sumbro Nation coming on, and Favlam. Of course, we'll be talking about Pokemon Legends EA and some other stuff as well. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. Let me know what you know about all this news, or know about, what you think about all this news down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.